Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys, girls, and sentient robots. My name is Nick, and this broadcast is brought to you in glorious GOLDMANvision. Today we're talking with Joel Daly of Comic Book Cast 2, as well as Caped Joel. Joel, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing really good. Thank you for having me. It's been a really good day so far.
I want to digress a little bit. Booster Gold 811 says that Ellis's Moon Knight is one of his personal favorites.
Yeah, that is. I've fallen behind on Ellis's Moon Knight because the way they're doing Moon Knight now is it's very self-contained, very one and dones. Ellis did a run. He did like I think 5, 6 issues, and they were all one and done stories, and they were all excellent. A lot of them barely had any dialogue to them. Which is funny to give him a credit to be like, man, his writing was so great when there's barely.
You still have to write that, though. You still have to write the situation, you know?
You're right. That's the thing. And that's something you can really only do in comics, which is great about it.
Right.
And he did one, and then Brian Wood did one, and then Cullen Bunn is writing it currently. And it's been really good. I didn't pull it for review, but I kept meaning to go back to it. But yeah, he's right. Moon Knight has been really enjoyable as of recently.
Owen Likes Comics apparently really likes us comparing Bendis to a bagel.
Bendis bagel.
Bendis's bagels, man.
I know the problem with Bendis, and I talk about this on the newest episode of Blood, Sweat Comics, where it's like, man, I can't wait to love his first 2 arcs on that. And then for him to take more, for him to take more projects because he writes like a million things. Then for him to get bored on Iron Man and then move on to other stuff, and then for it to go downhill.
Yeah, it's just like spreading a tablespoon of cream cheese across 3 bagels. You know what I mean?
It may be the best, and they may be great bagels, but if they're spread too thin, they're spread too thin. Like Bendis bagel.
Bendis's bagels, man.
And that's a Photoshop people are gonna do, just Bendis's face on a bagel.
You know what? That actually gives me a freaking brilliant idea. Coffee shop with like comics, like a comic store cafe. You know what I mean? That would make so much money, dude. Oh my god.
You get your Bendis bagels where it's like, but there's so little cream cheese on here. Yeah, but what's there is pretty good. You get your Gail Simone latte where it's like, it's mature but also very sweet and very interesting. Where it's like, yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And then get like a G. Willow Wilson cookie where it's like, oh, it's youthful and fresh. And it's got a great new take, and there's ingredients in here that I never even considered before. So you could just do that for everyone.
Yeah. So we're gonna digress a little bit. We're gonna completely switch gears with no segue whatsoever, just and hopefully like we don't blow the transmission. But you seem to have like an affinity for like classic 70s and 1990s cinema, like between those eras. Like, what is that? Is that indeed the case? And like, why? Where does that come from?
Well, like I said before at the top of this, I was going to be a movie guy, and I was a movie guy for a good chunk of my life. I had comics on the side, and it's interesting, like in the last 4 years, because I've started doing this semi-professionally, those interests have started to shift a little bit to where it's like, okay, where, before I would be like, okay, I got to browse all the movie sites and see what's happening there, and I got to keep up to date on actors and directors and everything. Now it's like, okay, Comic Book Resources and Comic Vine and the Weekly Pull and everything else, just keep up to date on all my comic news. Although, ironically, because we live in an age where comic book movies are so frequent, the skills I learned, from, trying to follow movies and stuff like that has served me well, especially over in Comic Book Cast, because, we're really, I think, more than any of the other channels, do we follow the movies and TV shows harder than anyone else. I know Benny has just recently launched Comic Historian TV.
Yeah, jumping on your bandwagon. No.
Jumping on the bandwagon, man. Come on.
I actually asked him to jump on here real quick and troll you, but he's way too busy today. I was gonna ask him call you for 30 seconds, just be like, "You're on too many channels. Pick one and stick with it. God damn it!" But he's too busy. But yeah.
Oh no, he already gave me that on Twitter. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it, Joel. You just love working. You're just the Nick Cage of the internet. You just can't stop. I just like being in movies, Gary. I just like it. I just like working. But yeah.
All right, so let's go from eras, okay? Let's go 1970s film. What's comic book or otherwise? Because I think there was a couple Superman films throughout the 70s. What's a favorite 70s film of yours?
See, now you're gonna put me on the spot because I usually.
Wait, one second here. Booster Gold says at that cafe we got Frank Griller cheese.
Ooh, Frank Griller. Where it's like, this was really great once before, but I think the cheese has kind of gone bad in the middle, though. Like he slowly went crazy or something.
Yeah, and Tastes a little bit like misogyny. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but we all got to eat it though because he's historical and he was good
How do you
and
not like grilled cheese, man?
it's true. It's like, oh, this grilled cheese makes me feel really uncomfortable though in the greater broad pop culture.
Yeah, I think Sal put it best.
You know, there's Frank, like it's like that uncle that you're like,
Right.
you could bet, I get the feeling he was really cool a long time ago, but now he's just kind of like, oh, you don't come to my play because
Yeah.
my friends will be really offended with what you have to say.
Everyone has that uncle.
You got that uncle, man.
Frank
I'm kind of
Miller-
worried that my uncle is going to ruin my career one day, but whatever.
Frank Miller is comics crazy uncle, is what he is. He totally
Absolutely.
is. And yeah, you were asking about my favorite
70s film.
movie.
Yeah.
I feel really dumb here because I usually have IMDb open there to remind me what years movies came out. Was Godfather the 70s?
Yes, it was.
Okay, Godfather's pretty great. You can't deny Godfather. I mean, one of the most pop culturally important, quotable films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, friggin' cartoons make references to The Godfather, for crying out loud.
My favorite reference is actually in Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law, when they put the horse. Was it Al Capone? They put Al Capone's head in Harvey Birdman's bed. That was just great.
Yeah, and a
classic
reference
scene.
to the horse head scene. That's pretty great. Plus, hey, nice bit of connective tissue because, hey, Marlon Brando, Godfather, Marlon Brando, Superman. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's all connected.
So now 80s films. Personally, one of my favorite 80s films of all time is also one of the worst films ever made, Commando. I love Commando.
Commando is wonderful, and Commando is on Netflix.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
man. My girl has never seen Commando. I'm about to blow her mind.
You gotta jump on the. Remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied. Let's have some steam, Bennett. So wonderful.
Did you know that line was actually ad-libbed? He
Was
came
it
up with that
really?
on the spot. Yeah, Let Off Some Steam Bennett was ad-libbed. A
Oh,
lot of
nice.
lines of Arnold Schwarzenegger's were ad-libbed.
You want to know something amazing? I was talking about Power Rangers before. Did you know Vernon Wells, the actor that plays Bennett in that movie, was Rancic, the villain of Power Rangers Time Force?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, from Commando to Power Rangers. What a career trajectory this man
Yeah.
had.
Well, I think that he's still probably making a lot of money off of Commando, though, just
You would
because
hope
it's such a
so.
cult classic. You know what I mean? He's got at least enough to pay his rent and not have to work anymore.
You would
Yeah.
hope so in residuals that he would be making it off that. But yeah, friggin' Commando is great. When was The Warriors? Was The Warriors the 80s? I know I always talk about The Warriors.
That was
me and Sean.
that was either very late 80s or early. No, it was very late 70s or early 80s. I
Yeah.
think that was like 79, actually.
It was in that time.
That'll count. Yeah, yeah.
It was in that time. But I mean, me and Sean from the podcast, we always talk about how much we love the Warriors. That's of course the great. Which ironically, the bad guy in the Warriors was the guy who he was going to kill last in Commando.
Yeah, they're all interconnected, man. I think it's all one shared universe, personally.
It's a rich tapestry.
It's the original cinematic universe.
It's a rich tapestry like the tapestry of crap I have on my wall.
Yeah, that is a badass wall, by the way. Like those decals, those posters. I was looking around for posters, and honestly, I just cheaped out by like printing out shit and cutting it out, putting it on my wall. But like, dude, there's no beating that, man. That is a badass wall.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm glad you like it because I'm jealous of all the other guys and what they have behind them in their stuff. I've only put this together like in the last year or so, and it's funny. These posters here, like the collage of the Justice League and the Avengers. We were talking about this on a podcast yesterday. Every comic book YouTuber has these posters. Armin has them. Joe has them. Scott from NerdSync has them. It's getting to the point where it's like, well, if everyone has them, then it's not really cool, is it?
Well, what you do is just layer shit on top of it. You know what I mean? Like just
go.
keep layering stuff. You know. Like Comic Uno has a really great set. Like I
She
love her
does.
set, dude. She just plasters the wall with stuff.
I'm not gonna lie. I was very Comic Uno inspired when I did it. So I'm like, ooh, I have a wall better than Cat. Gotta get up to that next level. I actually wanted shelves. I don't know how I would film in this room because I don't know if people can tell. But I filmed this in a corner of a room because I get, decent lighting when I open the window and everything. But I have a bunch of empty shelf space all around. I wanted to fill with collectibles and junk. A fan was nice enough to send these, and I've never been able to properly display them. These are the Avengers-themed Dr. Pepper cans from when the first movie came out. And I've wanted to
Wow.
display these forever. They're behind. I can see them. No one else can see them, though.
Holy crap. How do you even collect all of those? Like, you have to really be on the hunt for all those.
I think the dude worked for Dr. Pepper, is how.
Oh, okay, that explains it.
I think he worked for. Actually, total story here. One of the cans actually exploded because I kept them in a hot room in the summer.
Mm.
And it was already dented. It exploded, and it totally soaked my copy of Sinestro Core War. I know.
Oh, no.
This happened at like 3 in the morning. I was hunched over at 3 in the morning with a hairdryer trying to dry my copy of Sinestro Core War.
Jesus.
And this is worse because this is actually the second copy of Sinestro Core War that I've bought. I lost the first one in a flood with a bunch of other trades.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, not losing this one, not losing this one.
You're not gonna die on me, damn it! No.
That was it. I'm like, come back to life, come back to life, damn it. And I'm like, man, I really hope no one walks in on me right now because I probably look like a crazy person, hunched over at 3 in the morning, just in my
bloodshot eyes. Just it's gotta work.
With a hairdryer, just being like, no, not today.
All right, so we're gonna switch gears once again. Do you consider yourself a gamer?
Yes, I do. I game not as much as I used to in the last couple months. I missed out on a couple of the bigger releases, Bloodborne and Witcher, which I was dying to play. But as I mentioned before, I'm saving for a big provincial trip over to Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And that costs a lot for hotels and bus fare and everything else. So I had to unfortunately save up all my pennies, which means I didn't get Witcher and I didn't get Bloodborne, and I really, really wanted to get those this month.
Excuse me. Owen Likes Comics says that your relationship to Sinestro Corps, excuse me, is very similar to Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy.
It really is.
Do you agree with that?
I do. I keep losing Sinestro Core War, and it keeps coming back,
no matter what you
twisted
do.
and changed. See, if I was smart though, because again, for my setup, I don't have like a tripod or anything, so I just grab a couple thick books, which of course my thickest books happen to be comic books. And I don't know if you've ever seen the full collection of Sinestro Core War. It's like phone book. So I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna prop my little handy cam up on that then to film the wall behind me.
Right. All right, so going back to our question, though. So you said you are somewhat of a gamer. You haven't been able to play a lot of games. But my
Not
question
recently.
wasn't necessarily for modern games. What are some of your all-time classic favorite video games?
Oh, nice. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. I can tell you the first game I ever bought with my own money was Spyro the Dragon on the PS.
Yeah, man, Spyro's the We were just talking about Stuart Copeland's soundtrack to that game. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Wonderful soundtrack. Actually, Comic Book Cast just recently, we've started dipping our feet into game stuff. We had a game podcast called Control Breakers, and Armin made that its own channel now, so we're putting more and more content over there. And just to give a little taste, I think one of our guys is actually going to be doing a Spyro retrospective, so you can look forward to that. But yeah, the music in that one was tight. I loved all the Jack games back on the PS2, Jack and Daxter and all the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I wish Naughty Dog would bring that series back, but I know they're not because they're like, do you see how much money Nathan Drake makes for us?
Right.
Do you want another Drake's Fortune or do you want another Jack game?
Well, Naughty Dog, I'm really glad that you mentioned Naughty Dog because they are one of the best video game companies in the industry, video game developers, because they say, we're going to release a product. Mm-hmm. If you got to wait an extra 2 years so that we can make a good product, you wait.
just quality across the board. I mean, The Last of Us, just wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful game. Like, I couldn't believe it was from the same people, but it totally was. And the fact that they keep reinventing themselves with every new game, that they don't get married to one franchise and milk it into the ground. They're like, no, 3, and maybe a handheld, and maybe a kart racer, but 3.
Yeah. Booster Gold says he likes Earthworm Jim. Classic game. I love that game.
Love Earthworm Jim. The creator, not so much.
Really? What? Can you explain why?
Just Google the creator and some of the stuff he said. It's a very Frank Millerian sort of like, it's like, this guy made the stuff I love. To be fair, same deal with the dude from Fables, although not as much. The dude from Fables keeps kind of quiet.
Well, Fable itself is kind of a, there's some content in that game that's a little questionable.
I was gonna say no, not Fable the video game. I was talking Fables the comic series. Although Fables the comic series would become a game. It was just called The Wolf Among Us.
Okay.
I was talking
fair
about
enough.
Bill Willingham. If you ever read Fables, there's like a little bit of right-wing messaging going on in that. But beyond
Mm.
that, he does it subtly. It's not like Frank Miller, where it's like, I'm going to stop everything and tell you about this. He just says every so often where it's like, hey, and here's how I think on this subject. Moving on. But yeah, I mean, back to the video games. Yeah, Naughty Dog is great. Loved the Spyro games. Big Grand Theft Auto fan. I've
Mm.
always been. I was always a weirdo in my school because they're like, yeah, man, you can run over people in your car and flamethrower people. I'm like, yeah, but how about that story though? How about that? How
I
about that
agree,
voice
man.
act?
And I think that Grand Theft Auto 4 actually fell flat with the story. I think that the world building was great. And being from New York, I can tell you that there is a lot of stuff in that game that is verbatim New York. Like
Oh, I bet.
the
I bet.
scene, like when you're driving through Times Square, or what is
Mm,
Times Square in that game, that's Times Square, man. When
yeah.
you go to Brooklyn, that's Brooklyn. When you go to Queens, that's Queens. It's just spot on. Jake actually asked, what are some of the first games that we remember beating? Personally, I remember beating Toy Story. I think was one of the first games that I
That's a
beat. Everything else is no. I'm sorry. I beat Super Mario before that, but I was so young. I actually don't remember that. My parents swear up and down that I was like a fucking 4-year-old beating that game. Which is
uh,
crazy, but apparently they got photos of it and stuff like that. I've seen
game prodigy.
yeah, but yeah, I would definitely say that Toy Story was the first game that I really like went hard on beating. What about you, Joel?
Definitely Spyro, definitely all the Jacks, definitely all the Ratchet and Clanks. Again, all the Grand Theft Autos. Like I'm very anal about completing my games. Where I'm like, no, I must see completion. I must see the end credits. Even if
Yeah.
I've never been one of those 100% type of guys where it's like, no, you got to get 100% of everything. I'm like, no, just as long as I see the end, that's fine by me. I loved all the JRPGs too. I wasn't as into Final Fantasy as everyone else, but I loved my Chrono Crosses. I loved
Absolutely.
what else was there? Persona. Well, actually, I'm a latecomer to Persona. Actually, I actually bought a PS2 just to go back and play all the old Personas in preparation for the new one.
Hmm. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm not actually familiar with that one. I'll have to go check
it's
it out.
it's really weird JRPG because it's like half JRPG, half dungeon crawler, half weird high school sim. It's a very acquired taste. It is
Yeah.
very much not for everybody. Kingdom Hearts. There's another series I always thought was fun because along with being a total comic nerd, I'm also a big Disney nerd.
Hmm.
So that helps. That hey, it's two things I love together in a video game.
Disney
Why
never
not?
hit me, but so many people have told me like, dude, just put it aside, play those games. Play those games. It doesn't matter if you like Disney, if you hate Disney. They're really well crafted games.
They are, but it's also like what's your tolerance for Japanese weirdness to it?
Well, I'm a huge fan of Earthbound. I don't know if you've ever played that game for like
yeah.
for the SNES. That was a strange game, man.
Yes, it was.
In the first like 20 minutes, I think there's like child abuse in it.
Yep. Oh, them Japanese and their child abuse.
Oh
Ain't
man.
they wacky? But I mean, yeah, that's totally great. Up to the newer stuff. Been playing a lot of Far Cry.
Mm,
Shadows of Mordor, definitely high on my list for one of the best ones this year. Probably one of the best uses of the Lord of the Rings license
yeah.
into anything. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5, as I mentioned. Actually, all the guys from the Weekly Pull and me, we actually got to play a game for a little bit. We got to do some heists, and that was fun.
Yeah.
People made fun of my driving and my going to take on the gang boss on my own.
He's telling us to take out the gang boss now.
Wrong, I'm Val Kilmer.
Oh shit, I think the gang boss stopped. I think he stopped on a helipad. Okay, shit. I might be able to do this. I really hope there's not a million dudes surrounding him.
I think there is.
Yeah,
will
I
be.
see him. I see
Use the
him.
rocket launcher.
Assholes behind me.
Yep, be careful, man.
What are you doing, Joel?
I'm taking out the goddamn gang boss. No help from you guys.
Dallas, Texas, and Canada. That's how he rolls. I don't even know what he's
Nice curtains
shooting
for
at.
Joel.
Oh!
Why
so
did you shot from
close.
behind, man?
He was over there. He was so close.
What is Joel doing in the woods again?
Which has been forever immortalized in the best of the Weekly Pull. I like that's the end of it. where
Dude,
it's like,
I have to tell you, man, when I was editing all this stuff, I had to go through hours and hours and fucking hours of footage. And I came across that and I just could not stop laughing.
It's
Like,
pretty.
It was fantastic, man.
It's
Kudos.
pretty priceless. And yet another time I was bleeped where it's like, I'm going after the goddamn game.
I didn't have to bleep that though. It just
But it
was
was
funnier.
than you did.
Yeah. I appreciate that you like that. So yeah, we got to keep going on because we're running really long here.
We could do a whole episode talking about games.
Yeah. So let's move on. Just real quick, I want to answer this guy's question because it actually has to do with comic book movies, and that's our next topic. Owen Likes Comics asks, did you guys see Jason Statham's comments on superhero movies? What do you think, Joel?
I missed the comments. I did see that he was rumored up for Bullseye, but I can only imagine he got it.
Exotica.